Charlie Kirk claims that forced segregation under Jim Crow was a form of DEI. Nah, that's not just dumb, it's ludicrous.
Can we both agree that at one point there was no black athletes, and then what happened? They diversified.
We got rid of forced segregation, which is a form of DEI.
That's white nationalist propaganda disguised as a political hot take. A white nationalist dog whistle dressed up like a TED Talk. And if you believe it, you're not just misinformed, you're being indoctrinated. Let's break this down, because it's getting dangerous out here. Jim Crow wasn't about inclusion or diversity. It was about exclusion by law. From 1877 to the late 1960s, Black Americans were systematically denied access to schools, hospitals, restaurants, voting booths, and even water fountains. Separate but equal was never equal. It was apartheid with a Southern accent and a bless your heart. Black folks were locked out, period. That's not diversity. That's domination. And when that system started to collapse, thanks to movements led by Black organizers, we saw exactly what DEI is really about. Unleashing talent that's been deliberately held back. To understand this better, it's important to clarify what DEI truly represents. It's not solely about hiring quotas or preferences. At its core, diversity, equity, and inclusion is about creating environments where everyone has the opportunity to succeed. It's about ensuring accommodations are in place for those who need assistance, whether it's related to disability, language barriers, or other factors. It's about fostering a culture where differences are valued and everyone feels they belong. It's about removing barriers, not creating them. Brown v. Board of Education, 1954. Jim Crow education ruled unconstitutional. 1964, Civil Rights Act, ended legal segregation. DEI, introduced in the 1980s as a corporate and educational policy to promote inclusion, not discriminate. You know what happened after segregation started to fall? Black excellence took off. Shirley Chisholm became the first Black woman elected to Congress. Oprah built a media empire. Ursula Burns became the first Black woman CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Barack Obama became president in the United States. Oh, and Charlie Kirk's favorite reference, sports, became dominated by Black athletes. These weren't diversity hires. These were brilliant and extremely talented people who had been locked out of the system until the system was forced to change. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is a response to centuries of exclusion. It's about giving historically marginalized people access to the table, not locking them out of the room like Jim Crow did. What Charlie's doing is a classic right-wing tactic, flipping reality on its head so oppression sounds like justice and justice sounds like tyranny. Now let's talk about Charlie's favorite DEI hire, Donald Jimothy Trump. Because under Charlie's logic, Trump is the biggest diversity hire in history. This man walked into the White House with zero political experience, 6 bankruptcies, and a resume that reads like a true crime documentary. And yet he got the job over 2 different women with actual credentials. Kamala being quite possibly the most qualified candidate in modern history. Why? Because he's white, rich, loud, and speaks to a very specific fear that America isn't going to be run by mediocre white men forever. Furthermore, his cabinet appointees seemed based on loyalty rather than expertise, leading to what many would describe as a kakistocracy. Government by the least qualified or most unprincipled citizens. So, DEI, I guess? But while Charlie and his crew cry about reverse racism, let me hit you with some actual data. When hiring managers know an applicant is Black or brown, either through self-reporting or just the sound of their name, they're less likely to get a call back, even when they're more qualified. In one study, resumes with white-sounding names got 50% more callbacks than identical resumes with Black-sounding names. Latin applicants had to send out twice as many resumes to get the same response rate. When applications were race-blind, Black candidates suddenly became top contenders. So if we're talking about who's being excluded from opportunity, it's not the white guy who got rejected from Yale. It's the Black woman with the master's degree who didn't even get an interview. Charlie's not confused. He's calculating. This is about turning white grievance into a weapon. By calling Jim Crow DEI, he's justifying past segregation while vilifying today's efforts to correct systemic injustice. What Charlie is doing is textbook fascist propaganda. Take the tools meant to level the playing field, rebrand them as oppression, and then use that lie to justify dragging us back to the good old days when only white men had keys to the kingdom. That's fascist gaslighting. Jim Crow wasn't about equity. It was about white supremacy, enforced by violence and upheld by the state. Jim Crow wasn't DEI. Trump's not a genius, and DEI isn't the problem. White mediocrity, terrified of black excellence, is. Don't let these people gaslight you into believing justice is oppression. Stay informed, stay loud, stay dangerous. Oh, and Charlie, debate Dean or Parker or Amanda or me or any of the traveling circus members. Show the world what a real man you are.